There was none. That's her budget. I had sent out the thing and then she didn't have any. She's still in that, she's still in the,
I'm still working on this, get last year closed.
yeah.
Okay, let's go ahead and call the meeting to order if we can. And I'll ask Dr. Van Meer to open us with prayer, please.
Sure, I'd be happy to. Please bow your heads. Heavenly Father, we thank you for this opportunity to come together to do your work this evening. We thank you for an opening day, a successful opening day for staff and for students. We thank you that our students were brought in safely and we were able to get them home safely. We ask for your hand of protection over our county in the coming year. We ask for guidance for the board, that the decisions we make are for what's best for our students, staff, and families. We ask these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And I guess we need to do introductions, so. You want
Mr. McGregor, principal, MIS.
Sheena Van Meter.
Sean Flowers.
Melvin Shook.
Corey Harper.
Doug Hines.
Beth Barr. Sarah Earl.
And I'm Dixie Bean. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for coming tonight. We have a couple presentations next on our agenda, and the first are special education updates by Beth Barr. Turn it over to her.
Thank you. I put a sheet at your spot at your table. This has our numbers as of today. I just ran these. They're very comparable to last year. And I left the numbers on for the last several years so you can see how our numbers have increased over the last several years. I won't read all of those to you. I did want you to notice that in the gifted column, we are up to 17 now because I know last year there was concern about that. So I went back to the SAT teams at the schools and asked them to, please send some more referrals over for those students. So we got about 12 or 13 that were sent over, and out of those, 6 of those were found eligible.
Oh, good.
Yes, we have a couple more that we're about to test for gifted as well. We also have probably about 10 meetings coming up in the next couple of weeks that were held over from last school year. So those numbers will probably increase a little bit as the year goes on. Also have the number of students receiving occupational therapy, physical therapy at the bottom of that column. And then the table at the bottom shows the number of teachers at each school and then the number of students instructed in general ed and in special ed. And then also the number of students in gifted school at the bottom. Does anyone have any questions?
Now, these numbers that are in the number of students instructed in SEE, is that the enclosed classroom?
Yes, that would be the special education self-contained classroom.
Anybody have any questions?
We can't answer this, but the number, how the teacher people ratio is set up at the state, which I don't know. Is special ed different?
The self-contained classroom can only have 12 students, but then the rest of the special education teachers can have up to 30 on their caseloads. They're responsible for up to 30 students to provide services for those students.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Okay. Do you have anything else?
Yeah, that's all. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Let's see, the next thing, student achievement recognition.
Yeah, so I wish I had really great news, but I don't. I'm going to just share with you our test score results that have come back. The individual scores are still embargoed, so I can't give you anything. And I don't have specifics because I haven't been able to dig down in deep yet, but overall percentage released to us for math, we are 42nd, and we have a proficiency rate in the county at 28.15%, which is down 5% from last year. We have been in an upward trend. I'm not yet sure what all has factored into that, but we'll break that down. We'll look at special ed scores, EL scores. We'll look at elementary and high, but that's 3rd grade through the 11th grade kids that test. So 3rd through 8th with 11th grade, and that's how we get that average countywide. ELA, we are 32nd with a proficiency rate of 40.68%. And in science, we are 40th with 22.7% rate. Now, I'll tell you, I have my own feelings about standardized testing, but I will say that I feel like our students are much more capable in Harvey County than what's reflected here. So we'll be digging and seeing if we can figure out what's going on. Of course, that'll be tied into our goals for the year.
Who was number one? Do you know who number one in math was?
In both math and ELA, it's Putnam, and science, Putnam's second.
Have you ever had any contact with them to see how they do their math and EL program?
I have not prior to this year, but I will for sure. I
Maybe,
know
look at what they do.
John Hudson is our superintendent. He's been there a long time. I'll certainly reach out to him. Pendleton's scores were pretty good. I'm gonna reach out to them and see what's going on there. And then, of course, at the top, though, when you have your typical Ohio, Jackson, Vaughn County, which I think, explains itself as far as what they have access to and what their students have access to. But not happy with them. And I think we need to figure out what we can do to provide the necessary support. Maybe it comes down to taking a few things off the table for schools and focusing on just what really matters instead of the multiple different things we ask them to do. I think that's something we've talked about. I'll get you a plan. And as soon as I can get you a breakdown, I'll do a full presentation on all of that.
Can you give us a breakdown for school?
For school, and
Great.
special ed, and all the stuff, yeah.
I don't think you'll ever probably get it to improve until you're able to make some meat into the test. Because they're not graded by that. It means nothing to those kids. They know it means nothing to them, so they don't try. Only a handful of them try. And until you can figure that out, I don't think our scores will ever improve.
We talked about that actually. We talked about how do you get the kids motivated to actually put effort into it, and to try. And
And I know
Somebody's
we've tried
gonna
stuff through the years,
yeah.
incentives.
Well, and you were at Moorfield Middle.
Yeah.
Their test scores are in the county typically our highest, and I know that's an effort there. That's something that Mr. Stetler had a lot of input, a lot of feedback from me and things that it worked. But we'll figure out where the low parts are, and if we can dig a little deeper into why, put some things in place, we'll certainly do that. But I know we're better than what we're getting here as far as what our kids know and can do. I mean, we have great kids. Our kids are brilliant kids doing amazing things through DECA and FBLA and FFA. I mean, they're traveling all over the country and winning awards. I mean, our Envirothon kids we have very successful students. So we need to figure out a way to get that to translate to these scores that is what the state publicizes and measures us with. And I think we can do it. I think we can do it. We're just gonna have to dig.
I think the kids, I've said this before and I've always believed it, that the kids need to be taught how to take a test. There's an art to taking a test. And I've heard that, well, we don't want to teach to the test. And by that, I feel like they're giving them exact sample questions and stuff that they've seen on the test or whatever. But I think that they do need to learn to take a test.
Yeah, I think if she contacts Putnam County, because that's not, that's Buffalo Putnam, I know that's one of the schools there. That's not like Mon County or Ohio, so there's gotta be, in fact, that's probably considered a rural county, isn't it?
I would say so. I would guess so.
They have the Toyota plant there.
What size is the school?
Huh?
How big is the school?
The Buffalo Putnam, it's a small school. It may
Yeah, I was
be-
gonna say that.
That's what I'm saying. How
Maybe
many kids are they testing?
that I wouldn't like to say.
Well, but if
That plays a
It's
big part
probably
of it too.
comparable.
if they have a bunch of professionals down there and it's a small school, you know, they can
There's
really
another-
pull things off.
Their ELA is 60% proficient and their math is 54.
They have,
Nobody in the state.
they have
is
two
like-
high schools.
Knocking
There's
out
two
the
high
park.
schools in Putnam County. There's another, one. There's not just, what's the other high school?
I don't know.
There's another, there's two high schools in Putnam County.
I mean, it quickly goes, especially in math. And I'm not justifying 28%, trust me, I'm not at all. But it goes quickly from 54, and you've got 4 counties in 49, 46, 40, and you go down to, you're 40% quickly to 38. Like it drops very consistently and very quickly. I mean, if you go 35% is the school number 19, it's 35%. So you go from
What
from
was
number
the,
1 to 19, you're going from 54 to 35, and then it's just,
what was the state average in that?
I don't know.
It didn't say.
No, I got everybody's individual scores, and I just took these
We,
and
can we
calculated
see
them.
that or is
Now
that not?
They advertised that the link was out on the state site, you can get into that, but I'm gonna wait, because what they always do is they aggregate data and everything kind of shuffles and adjusts. So once they tell us it's officially released and they're finished doing whatever it is that they're gonna do to it, we'll do. But, I'm not saying, I wanna help us figure out how to show what our kids really know.
And they said that the scores statewide had gone up, I think 5 to 6%.
I think it was like a percent, the article I read was like a percent in math and a percent in reading, and science had stayed the same, I think is what I had read. But I know statewide they were still in the 40s. ELA was state average, from the article that I read was like 40 something, math was 30 something. It's not, no one's doing fantastic, but
Well, we
I
don't
don't
wanna
think our kids
keep
are.
dropping back, you know,
No.
when we're showing growth, that was a good thing, but now that needs to be addressed.
Yeah, we'll see what happened last year in particular, drop us 5 points, because we were making good progress. We were, so. But we'll revisit. I just wanted to tell you what I knew right now, so you had that in your hands.
Okay, thank you. Public comments, I don't think anyone signed up. Now we'll go, the next item are the consent items, and item D is not in the packet. I looked and looked, but I couldn't find her.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the consent items. Any questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye, please. Opposed? All right, and the motion is adopted 4-0. So next we go to our unfinished business budget update, attachment 6. I've got to find it. Miss Sarah will tell us about that.
This is for July. I'm still working on closing out 2024, but this gives you a look at the amounts that are budgeted under those categories that we always take a look at for this upcoming year for 25. The expenditures that we've had so far in July. Payroll has not been encumbered yet. I usually get to that in the next month or so after we get the year end closed. So you won't see any of those amounts encumbered there for the payroll. But the rest of the vendor listing and stuff that you guys approved and others that have come in there are listed under the encumbrances. Gives you the comparison to 24 and then where we would be after 1 month of operation. I'm currently working on closing up 24. It looks like we're probably going to have about a $2 million excess. And that was with moving expenses to ESSER funds and trying to get as much as we could justify over there for FY24 to give us more of a cushion. So with that 2 million, it might be a little bit over, but it's going to be right around 2 million. We've promised the 500,000 for the MIP to keep in mind that for the roof project at Moorfield Middle School. We always have that first payment for the field lights, which we factored in. It's around $240,000. And then currently operating at 17 employees over formula between service and professional, $1 million is probably a average estimate as to what those employees will cost above and beyond what we're funded for. So if you take all those into account, we would have about $260,000 there as a cushion. Now, hopefully, when the enrollment figures and everything gets in there, we will be up some in enrollment and not, definitely, hopefully not down any further than what we have been. But hopefully it would be nice if we were up some, which would increase the funding that we'll receive for the year and will help, I mean, definitely make us, be able to, breathe easier. And
What was the magic number last year? Was it 2,000, on
How
the?
many kids we had?
Mhm.
I believe it was 2178.
it was right around 21 something, yeah. I can't remember exactly.
Okay,
And this year, of course, we haven't had all kids in all buildings yet, like today, sixth graders went to Moorfield Middle. So by next Monday, I think we'll have a pretty good handle on things. Emily Morris's calculation on the chart she's been keeping is that she's gonna be up about 33 kids at East Harding Elementary. I know that even though we lost several kids just because of our natural drop at East Harding High, I think they had gone from like 302 to 304. Is that right, Sean? Or 304 to 298. 8 difference. So I think we're gonna have, Moorfield High is the only one I know for sure is that's gonna be down. So I'm hoping that in the end, our numbers come out to be good with positive growth. That's what I believe will happen.
That big class graduate,
They're
They
seniors.
graduate this year.
this year.
They graduate this year.
They're seniors right now.
So we'll take another hit.
They was
Next
taking
year.
a big hit with them unless they
It'll be about a 40.
changed their numbers since middle school.
Yeah.
They have
They have a
decreased
little
some, but
They're like
it'll be about a
149
40.
now.
Are they? Okay.
It'll be about a 40 kid loss when that class graduates, which will need to be accounted for.
It's coming.
well,
Yeah, Mike keeps saying we're looking.
the,
They're not building apartments around here for no reason. They're not sending millions of dollars in apartments. They don't believe that. I just don't believe it. Somebody's gonna move into them.
well, the superintendent that spoke at the meeting I went to said that there's a student decline in 52 of our 55 counties.
See, Montague probably isn't losing.
Berkeley, Jefferson,
Grant was one of them, and I think there was only 2 last year.
2 kids increase.
No, 2 counties that increased last year. I don't know about this year, but in Grant, it was like 7 students. But they had increased, and there was one other, I don't remember. It wasn't, Berkeley had actually lost.
There are a lot of kids that have gone from Hampshire to Harding. That's been a real consistent, over East Harding, a real consistent thing happening. So, we'll see.
But that's just something to keep in mind going forward with this year. And we've been looking at, we've been going over all the areas that we thought that we could cut back or make changes. We've been looking at child nutrition. This is one of the largest years since I've been here that we've had to cover them. I think the final entry that I made was like $470,000. And that's not accounting for the salaries that I had being paid out of Easter funds. So had those salaries been paid out of general funds, child nutrition would have really taken a big hit this year. But we've been trying to look at some of those programs and see if there's anything that we're missing or any ways that we could.
That's the cost of food. You go to the grocery store and my goodness gracious.
Yeah, That's definitely a piece of it.
Question, and I don't know whether you're the person to ask, so I'm asking anybody. It just seems like through the years, the kitchen has been required to use more prepackaged. Is that something state, federal required, or, because that's gotta be more expensive than letting the cooks do their thing.
They don't like to do their
The
thing.
only time that it was, and I'm not sure that required, but kind of necessary was during COVID. It became necessary just because it was, we needed, food to go, food to be down the halls, we were keeping them spread out. We've really pulled back a lot on that and asked them to do from scratch meals. And I think this year, according to Becca, is one of the biggest per scratch requests that she's made of them. So a lot of their menus have changed to home this year. And, we're gonna keep an eye on that and try.
Well, I
to-
just know from all the years I've been at the middle school, and I'm in that kitchen a lot, doing dinners and so forth. Every one of those cooks that I've ever worked with don't like the way we've gone over the umpteen years. They really go back to where they're allowed to cook.
Yeah.
You know, instead of dumping out a can of green beans and can't touch it because they're not allowed to add salt or sugar or butter or whatever they would add normally at home.
Yeah,
Now that is all on federal regulations, and they're pretty strict on the sodium count, sugar count, carb count. We've talked about, I had a conversation with cooks at one point about, they wanted to get, they were being asked to make their own, not make their own, to make their own spaghetti sauce because the canned spaghetti sauce just had too much sodium in it, and we've had lots of conversations about things like that over the years, and some of it, I'm told, is just based on what they're allowed to serve to meet those nutrition guidelines.
Well, does, I guess I shouldn't say it, Miss Becca, does she state makes the meals for every county, for every school in the county? Meaning,
Yes. She sets the menu as far as what they can and cannot order and what they can and cannot serve. Based on, there's a system that she has to put everything into, and it checks the nutrition content that's on the can, like has to be entered, or on the package, or on the whatever it is, it has to be entered into a system, and it counts and calculates if that meal has enough or not enough of all of the.
but if the school wanted to make Friday pizza day every Friday, they can't do that, correct?
No, because your total week, I mean, I guess you could, as long as your whole week met the weekly guidelines, because there are daily limits and there are weekly limits. So within that week, she'd have to meet those certain guidelines as well. So could they? Yeah, I guess they technically could, as long as the pizza that they were serving met the nutritional guidelines.
Well, I don't even ask, and I don't know how else to do it other than ask.
No, absolutely.
But I just know the kids at the school don't like the food. Now, there's certain meals, they can have pepperoni rolls once a week. And I'm just like, then why not?
yeah.
Because
give it
every
to
kid
them.
likes
As long as it meets the, we
You
had
know,
that conversation about spaghetti.
Well, and if they want
Because they love
to butter
spaghetti.
those green beans out,
Yeah.
you know, spill in there.
I mean, and we've got, and I use middle school as an example because I've been there forever, but we've got good cooks there.
Well, yeah. we
And they
agree.
care. And they really fuss. They're throwing all this food away, not them, but the kids dump their trays and they dump almost everything because now they're required to put this scoop and that scoop on every tray. They just can't say, would you like this load of things?
It'd be amazing, the tonnage of food.
Oh my Lord.
Yeah.
It's terrible.
It is. And I just think this is so, you talk about wasting money. I mean, it's just something to me, surely we can do something about it. And I have, and you're probably right, federal and state laws require we can't do nothing.
Well, I mean, I think you make a really good point, and Sarah and I have spent a lot of time, Becca, talking about what we serve and when we serve it, and what can we do to make the kids eat and make the food better, and Becca, I think, is gonna be at a meeting here soon, and I think it's a good opportunity to talk to her about that, and
Well, I'd like to, because I just think, I don't know what the rhyme or reason is, but I just know, because, you know, I tried to eat there some when I was teaching. And I'm like, when are we doing pepperoni rolls again? And it's like, well, we don't even have it this month. And I'm like, what?
That's one of the kids' favorite meals, one of my favorite meals.
I don't know if there are specifically requirements that relate to variety, or if that's just a process that's followed to try to get kids lots of different things to try.
Probably since it's
Or if it's-
processed,
But
nitrates and nitrates in it.
yeah, I don't know, but we can definitely ask and have her talk about that and explain it.
I just,
That would be good.
I hope that there's, a lot of time manure rolls downhill, it does all the time. But sometimes you gotta listen from the bottom up. And if these kids don't like it, the cooks are pretty much know what they don't like, and so I don't know if they can have anybody to talk to. And not meaning that Becca's a dictator, but I'm just saying, surely we can make things a little better.
Well, it seems that over at East Hardy, that the kids eat all the time, that Nancy Klein kind of spoils them. I don't know what she's doing differently. Well, something,
Well, she probably understands there's a gray area, and then she uses the gray area.
absolutely. Like
Not everything's black and white.
Gray's
Lots of
just
gray.
another color.
We'll have to get on that, I'll put that down for her to talk about the next time she's here.
Thank you.
We can have a good discussion.
I think the COVID was that they got used to eating those packages, serving.
Well, I can
packaged
imagine,
things, and
yeah,
then it's-
that's
it's-
why I
Once you're
can't.
in that routine, it's so hard to break it. And like,
I just-
it's-
I used to be on lunch duty all the time. I was like, gosh, you guys make so much food.
And we've all, every time we go to
It's
school, we
awful.
complain about those packaged things.
We've also asked the state to put together, Tony Craig is supposed to be analyzing or putting together a spreadsheet of every county. So, because some of the counties that I've asked are operating fairly even in child nutrition, and I have no idea how. And then some of the other counties are, on the other end, kind of like we
Some
are.
of the other county
So-
menus also, see what they're serving.
Yeah, it would, and just how they're operating or what they're doing, so we can kind of analyze it from a.
Well, and it'd be interesting to see what their bread bids are, their milk bids, I know the fresh vegetables really, really cost us.
really cost us. And the milk bid is huge. And I talked to Beck about that this year. I didn't realize that Gallagher's owns our milk coolers. So I did not know that. So, when we put that bid out, they're the only company that will bid when we don't have the milk coolers. So,
Wonder how much a milk cooler is.
Yeah, I think that could be.
Yeah.
They're not that,
about $1,200, I think.
yeah, they're not that.
Yeah, the only downfall with that is I think you're with, we're in that eastern panhandle co-op thing, so I think you have a couple other counties that also don't have the milk coolers, but I'm like,
They don't charge rent on them, do they?
no, but that guy knows. When he comes and does the bid, he knows he asked this year, who else bid, and he knows that no one else is gonna bid, because no one else offers that service anymore. I think it might have used to have been a common thing maybe, several years ago, that the companies just provided that.
Is there just one cooler in each school?
I really honestly do not know that. Do you know?
More than one milk cooler in your kitchen? Well, I feel like there are two.
There's two.
Two, right? One on each one. And I think that's consistent in every school.
There's not much to them.
But we have, Frank and I did talk about that. And this is just, you're welcome. Ellen had asked for, and I didn't see this until later, so I didn't know. It's broken down by year. But as far as what the specific, the vendor, where the purchases are listed. The top page was just current year. There's been nothing purchased so far current year. And then it goes this past year from July of 23 to June of 24, then 22 and 23 as well.
This is for the.
This is for the MES building at the elementary school. And these are expenditures only. like I said, Melvin, I didn't have time to actually pull any of those and look at what the specific,
Oh, no,
you know,
no,
purchases were,
that's
but
fine, you can kind of tell
it
what they
lists,
are,
yeah, I figured we know what,
you get an idea of what.
Right.
they-
You wanna talk to them about the other quote that came in that offsets that?
Sure.
1, 2, what are we talking about? Here's the first one.
we also had, we put out for bid, the metal, for the roof, the metal that needs to go up there. And we received 2 bids for that. One, was $27,000 and one was $10,700. To take the metal down that's currently up there and then replace it and put the, I guess, the total, cover the total,
To secure it, yeah.
to secure it up there.
Those are huge.
That's a large difference.
This is for the building at the grade school.
So the 26,000 that I had given you on that sheet that I had emailed out, it should have actually been 27,000. I didn't have that on me at the time, but when I got the copy, it was 23,000 for the installation. They were charging us separate a full cost of 4,000 to take what's there now down so that it can be insulated on the sidewalls, then put it back up. So that was a 27,000 versus 10,700.
$10,700.
Yeah, so I mean, clearly the 10,007, and it specifies in there, what needs to happen, and Mr. Armstrong walked through with it, took the gentleman that put this bid in, through the building, showed him what was there, what needed to come down, what be insulated, what needed to go back up, the ceiling needed to go back up.
Now, you're talking about the metal with the insulation, you're still talking about the metal. Okay.
So up the metal. The insulation, I sent you that bid, that's still 10. Sorry, I have it on copy, different order, 10,550. And that's for the sidewalls that you guys wanted in there. So now technically, for the 10,550 and the 10,7, you can get all the stuff done. The flooring is the piece that's not accounted for, and I talked to Mr. Armstrong about that. That's not something that we have to have. It's a concrete floor right now. They can still be in use and do all of their activities in there without the flooring. He was working with Cape and Valley Bank, Pilgrims. There was a third. Oh, he told me he's going to have a conversation with the county commission, have a meeting with them, and see if they can contribute anything. He's hoping that they can help with the flooring piece. But I just told him that, right now that we would be focusing on getting it to the completion point where we could use it and it could be utilized instead of sitting there empty. So once that's finished, I think we're prepared to plug all the pieces in and it's ready to go.
We've had, just to catch you up, we've had problems. We've all been out at the building on our walkthroughs and stuff. And we were out at the building and it's like, we're looking at the insulation and we're thinking, my goodness gracious, this thing will be like a refrigerator freezer in the winter. It had some spray foam in there, but it wasn't much. So we were talking about, gee, it looks like we need some more insulation, and they actually hadn't sprayed the sidewalls or done anything. It was just raw metal. And so that's what we've been working on, getting it where it has a decent R value. So that the utilities of using the building won't, cost us some more mental lag. So.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Could someone, Josh or someone, do a total walkthrough in that building and tell us exactly what needs to be done? When you walk in here, conditioning isn't finished. I'm not sure about the lighting. I don't think any of the lighting is finished. The sidewalk, give us a punch list, what needs to be done and what those costs may be. I know this is a big part of it, of course. The bathrooms, are they finished now? Or?
I honestly don't know. I haven't even actually been in the building.
The
But
toilet and everything is installed. everything's been installed but not hooked up yet. And I know that they haven't done anything further with the lights because the metal has to go up
Right.
first before they can finish that piece.
Right.
And then the sidewalk piece, I think those are all things, and I'll have them do that and get you a list. I just focused on the things that I think will get it to where we can use it.
Right. Well, I agree, but you're gonna have to finish your lighting and your air conditioning for sure. And I'm not sure if that's all there yet, the lights and all that.
I think so, but I'll double check.
And as far as installation of those lights, I think that's something we can do ourselves.
Right. Yeah, I think everything else we can finish on our own, from the sidewalk to the completing the air conditioning to, because I think it's ready to go. I think, again, it just has to do with the metal going up.
Right, no, I agree. Yeah, I think the ductwork falls in.
Yeah, that's it, and then the plumbing, I'll check on the plumbing.
Just be good to have a punch list, see exactly what has to be finished, yeah. Well, it's a much better price than we were looking at before. It's a huge difference at 2710. I don't understand the differences there.
We were just really struggling to find somebody else to bid on it, and happened onto this company who was just doing some other work in the area and started actually when they stopped this house. They do paving, roofing, different things. And he said, I'm gonna call those folks and ask them, we can track them down, and they came by and was able to walk in and give them a quote on it. So,
Cool. Sounds good. How long is that quote good for?
does it say on there?
Does not say on
He walked through this morning, so
So it's pretty,
pretty fresh.
yeah.
I'd say we've got a couple weeks anyway, probably at least 30 days.
They're not local.
It's a 304 number, 304-279. I'm not sure where they were from. It doesn't have an address on here.
That sounds much better.
Well, if it's a 304, it's been established for a while.
Yeah.
Otherwise it'd be 681, so that's good.
It's the company that did the blacktop in high school.
In the park, too, or just the high school?
I don't know about the park, they paid my driveway.
Okay, well, I think they paid ours too, but I wasn't sure if it was the
I think
same
they're out of
company.
Bunker Hill thing. Yeah,
But we'll
school,
try.
I was like, I don't know that, so, design.
Okay.
And shit in.
And Jenny, they've been doing lots of things in the area. So do you want to hold off then until we get that punch list to you, and we'll do that at the next meeting? When Josh is here and have him just walk through everything with you, would that be sufficient, or do you want to go ahead and proceed with?
I think we ought to maybe go ahead with these folks and then we'll see what the rest of the damage is gonna be. I mean, we have to finish the building.
Exactly.
You know, we decided that, we've needed that multi-purpose
Oh,
room
yeah.
gym.
Sure.
This was all supposed to be paid for by Pilgrims. And it's kind of expanded and then all the inflation hit and it's just, and plus we decided that, it would be used for things other than the original purpose of the building, which
Okay.
was basically a baseball building.
Okay.
I mean, wasn't it really?
Yeah, originally it was going to be an exterior building, and we decided, our CEFP had building a gymnasium on the back of Milford Elementary, because, they share space for cafeteria and gym. So that was in our CEFP, our plan, our facilities plan. And when this opportunity came about, and we started it, we thought we might as well just go ahead and make this that and save ourselves some money, which I think that was a multi-million-dollar project we would have had to have done. So in the end, we're still coming out to the good. It's just been hard to pay out of pocket.
And even going back further with Mrs. Bean there, what was presented to us, it was presented that it was be totally paid for. There was enough donations to build it like they wanted it built. And we all know that 109,000 would not build a building like that and finish it inside. And we struggled with that since.
I think we're on the downhill side.
It's been 3 years, so.
Not like this, but wandering around in the wilderness.
I'll make a motion to proceed with the metal and the installation of the quotes that Mrs. Earl gave us.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
I just want to make sure it's, when we get that done, we get our guys on and get it finished and
Yes.
get everything done. If you would get that list of punch list of what needs to be done.
All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Opposed? And the motion's approved, 4-0. Okay,
Thanks for getting that. So that-
You're welcome.
I'm just curious.
these are all the contracts of people that have done things, right?
Right,
Just for that building.
right, she had sent us the amount that it was, and I was just
Uh-huh.
curious. what it was.
Yeah. That's what I thought. I want to make sure. So, okay. So our next, under new business, we have approval of the pre-K contracts. They're attachment 7 in our packet.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the pre-K contracts. Any questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Those that are in disagreement, and it passes 4-0. I know that there has been a little bit of talk that maybe they need to see if Hardy County Child Care Center would have a class, but we got those covered, or did they decide they didn't want to have a class?
Right now, we have it covered. We're in good shape. I'm not sure what the final outcome was. Do you want to know if Mrs. Strarman got the answer to that? I know that right now, we do not need that additional class right now.
Okay.
So my guess is it's just on hold because we're in good shape.
Okay, good, because I was looking through here and I saw that we have 2 classes of the pre-K over at East Hardy, which makes me happy,
Yes.
because it seemed like that the students weren't attending pre-K there like they were over here.
Yes, I think Mrs. Morris has really been working hard to get kids.
It's
enrolled
important, it gives those kids a leg up.
It does. But yeah, we're in good shape.
Okay, so the next thing is approval of Potomac Farms Dairy Milk and the Dairy Bid, attachment 8.
Motion to approve.
Have a motion and a second to approve the dairy milk and bid. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? It passes 4-0. And the next thing is attachment 9 for the Kilmer's Farm Market for the produce.
Motion to approve.
Have a motion and a second on the floor. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? And it passes 4-0. Our next item is the approval of granting high school credit to middle school students for classes that they would take. It's attachment 10.
Motion to approve.
Okay, we have a motion to approve
Second.
and a second. This is a new policy.
I have a question. Does it count towards your high school GPA?
It does once they're in high school, yes.
Yeah.
It's not a new procedure. We've done this with Spanish. We used to do it with BCA. The policy is new. It's, the state, has opened it up to a few different CTE options. And so we just wanted to make sure we had it covered in policy. I know my kids, my older 2 kids through high school, so 8th grade Spanish accounting for high school credits, so it's always, yeah, like I said, BCA 1, we used to do at the middle school level. We just didn't have a policy.
Okay, are we ready to vote? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? And it passes 4-0.
And that's for first reading, Dixie, just to clarify. It's just going on
Okay.
first reading.
First reading. Next, we have the approval of finance procedures and operations, attachment 11.
Motion approved.
Second.
Of a motion and a second, to, approve. Are there any changes in this?
So the middle section that's italicized, that says stipends,
Oh,
reimbursements, and
okay,
bond
sure.
fees, just that section there, right until you get to payroll procedures.
Okay,
We just didn't have those items clearly defined in our policy, so we wanted to make sure people knew what the expectations were as far as deadlines go.
okay.
And that's also first reading.
Have any questions? Okay, all those in favor of this policy going out for first reading signify by saying aye. Opposed? And it's approved 4-0. Next is our board member and superintendent discussion. No action may be taken.
I don't have anything additional other than, just asking if you guys had any suggestions for my goals, to bring this to the next time, and Dixie gave me.
Yeah, I gave everyone, a copy of some goals that I tried to put together. You can see that up in that one, it's a blank percentage. The example that they've given was 60%, and I thought we'd be praising God and saying hallelujah if we get to 60% proficiency. So we'll have to see. I mean, I don't think it's gonna be the end of the world if we don't meet our goal. We need to have lofty goals. But at the same time, it needs to be reasonable. So it's like, why, that there's not the why even try. Does anybody else have anything for the superintendent or the board to discuss?
I think for the middle school project, roofs and HVAC, could we get a report on that maybe next summer? Sure. Just to see what motion is there. See, the architects are busy at their work.
Yes, they're actually, on the next agenda, you'll have on there to approve updates to the CDFP. One of the things that we have to add for this next needs-based project that the SBA is putting out, we're gonna put in for would be updates to the exterior doors at East Hardy Elementary, which I think are already part of the CDFP. But the update will state that we need to add a man trap or a safety entrance at Northfield Middle School. They're the only school in the county that doesn't have a secure entryway. So we need to update our CDFP, and so that'll be on the next agenda for you guys to look at that. So you can get that, has to be in your CDFP before you can ask for anything to do it. So you'll get those things, and yeah, we're moving right along with the roofing project and all that, but I'll get a specific update.
Well, the windows that he started, also.
They don't qualify. When we did our last walkthrough with SBA, they're not the prettiest, but they're still secure and
Well,
sealed,
that's true.
so they wouldn't let us put it on there. But when we walked through with them to look at the exterior doors, I think Andy Neptune, who's the executive director of the SBA, is going to come and look at the doors and start working on them, just so we can maybe make some suggestions about how to.
He'll help you as much as he can.
I think so, yes, for sure.
Okay. Any other future agenda items anyone would like to see?
Can I back up on one thing?
Sure.
I'm so sorry. I want to update you on the track. So Moorfield Middle School, track, Moorfield Middle, Moorfield High track that's down here. They began doing the milling, and when they started on the backside, they were gonna mill down 2 inches in order to resurface it, and when they milled 2 inches, they hit like gravel. So the track was extremely thin. And so we met down here, I guess it was Friday afternoon, Steve Snyder, Greg Riggleman, Darby Clayton, and then the track coaches were there. And they looked at what needed to be done in order to find a way to not have to tear the whole track out and still kind of continue plans that they had. And there's a process where you mill less and mix it with the concrete. And they called it whatever that process is called. But it's a way to create a harder, thicker surface by adding concrete to it, and it'll still look like a paved track. So their plan is to proceed with that. You mill off less and use that and add concrete to it to thicken it up. They believe that by doing that, the track will still be good if maintained for the next 30 years. They understand that it's probably gonna cost them a little more money, and I got the impression that they were all okay with that and willing to raise the difference. Steve Snyder was working to see what that cost difference would be. I was gonna get back to him on that, working with some of the higher up folks, I think in Charleston, through his company, to figure out exactly what steps need to happen in order to do it correctly. The other issue they ran into was a drainage issue, because underneath of all of that, it was very wet. And so there are 2 outlets, but they're not sure that the drain was put in correctly to begin with. So after they get the surface completed, they're going to do that part first, and then they're going to add 2 additional outlets on the long oval sides to drain and make sure that the outlets that are there on each end, which are the short ends, were cleared out and functioning properly. They seem to think that was less of a harder job than obviously making sure that the paving itself is gonna happen. So we've just indefinitely halted our role in that. If you remember, our only role and cost was going to be the rubberization. They were gonna do that in September. Obviously, they're not gonna get that in September now. If things don't pick up quickly and happen on the paving end, then there will be no rubberization in September. You would just have to wait till the winter passes, and then they would do it in the spring. So everything is still planning to proceed. They're still working on it and hoping to get back on track. But I wanted to update you in case you wondered what was going on.
Okay. Announcements, our next board meeting is September 3rd, which is actually a Tuesday. And it's at the Board of Education, and it'll be at 5 o'clock, so. And next we have mission statements and accomplishments.
The school looks really nice.
Howdy, Dave.
I hope the other ones look as,
Yeah, I saw pictures of Moorfield High School, and oh my goodness, those floors look like glass. I shouldn't complain about the cleaning materials.
They look great.
It did, it really, I mean, it looks good. Let's hope it'll hold up, you know, that they're not. You know how you get something looking really nice, and then the first time you clean it, after the first few times, it's like, where did my shine go? You know,
Custodians work really hard. They take a lot of pride in their work too, so.
yeah, it looks great. Anybody else have anything?
I'll thank the administrators and principals, teachers, everyone in the school. They've been off to a really good start, so. I'm pleased.
Okay. All right, so we'll move on to personnel.
Anyone have any questions for me prior to executive session or we good? Okay, I would recommend the approval of the personnel actions as presented to you.
motion to approve the superintendent's recommendation of personnel.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the the recommended by the superintendent personnel actions. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And it passes 4-0.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
A motion and a second to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right. 4-0. We're finished. Thank you all. So do you have copies of, like the